everyone, and welcome to our training today. Today we're diving into vendors that can help you kickstart your business credit profile. By the end of this training, we're going to go through, 7 to 10 different vendors that can help you build business credit. We're going to talk about 2 different ways you could build initial business credit. We're going to give you an overview of building business credit, benefits, all those type of things. So by the end of this training, you're going to know exactly how to build your business credit. You're going to know what business credit is, how it works, and you're most importantly going to know the steps to initially build business credit, including vendors you could use to build business credit, and a cool alternative that you can actually now use to get credit lines to help you build business credit as well. So by the end of this training, you're going to know exactly the vendors to use and the way to start your initial business credit profile. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Ty Crandall. I'm author of Business Credit Decoded. I'm also CEO here at Credit Suite, and this is what we do. We help businesses build business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social. We help you with accessing all kinds of loans, all kinds of credit lines, getting your business set up where you're fundable. So if we can help you along the way, our phone number and email or website is at the bottom of each slide, 877-600-2487. And you can also get approved for financing at creditsuite.com/get funding. All right, so let's talk about business credit. So having an EIN does not mean that you have established business credit. So a lot of people make this mistake. When they hear about business credit, they try to go to their bank and then they say, I have an EIN, and they try to use that to then start getting approved for business credit cards. But that's not going to work. If you go that route, you're always going to get denied. That is, of course, unless you have good personal credit. If you want to go into your bank and use your good personal credit to qualify for a credit card, well, you may be able to get approved. But I wouldn't even recommend that, because I'm about to show you in minutes an alternative that instead of going to your bank, that could get you 5 to 8 times more money going a different route than your bank. But if you go into your bank, they're not going to approve you for business credit just because you have an EIN. And if you do have good personal credit, the last thing you want to do is go into your bank to use that to get one credit card when you could get 5 to 8 credit lines instead. Okay, so but it doesn't have to be this way, though. There is an alternative. You can't start with these high limit cash credit accounts, and that's what we call it. When I look at a Visa card, when I look at a MasterCard, when I look at an American Express card, I consider that to be cash credit. I actually consider that to be the cash credit tier. So you can't start with those high limit cash credit accounts. First, you've got to build starter trade lines that report to the business credit reporting agencies. I'm going to tell you 2 ways to do this today and give you a bunch of vendors that can help you. But first of all, let's talk about trade lines on payment experiences, so we're on the same page with the language that I'm using. So when it comes to trade lines, when I say the word trade line, I'm referring to an account that reports on your business credit reports or consumer credit. That doesn't matter. A trade line is an account that reports on your credit report. So when I say first, you've got to use starter trade lines, what I'm saying is you got to use starter credit that will then report as trade lines as an account on your business credit report. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that today using vendor credit. I'm going to show you and introduce you to a bunch of vendors that can help you with this. Now, then you'll have an established credit profile. Then you'll have a good business credit score. And with that, then you start building high limit revolving accounts. So this is the very important order that you need to understand. It's 3 steps. Get trade lines that report. That establishes a credit profile. How you pay the bills will establish your credit score. And with the trade lines that give you the credit profile, that give you the credit score, then you have what's needed to start getting revolving credit. Places like Amazon, Walmart, or Visa, MasterCard, whatever it may be, it all starts with these initial trade lines that give you this initial credit profile and initial score. Now, there is an alternative to what I'm going to show you today, and excuse me, the bottom of the slide's all messed up because I put this in literally within seconds because I remembered. I forgot that this was actually not on the slides, okay? But this is how it works. So there's 2 ways to build initial business credit. There's what we call credit line hybrid. This is where you're using these hybrid credit lines to be able to build initial business credit. And then there's vendors. And I'm going to do a lot of talking today about vendors, introduce you to a bunch of them, what they do, how they work, who they report to, all those kind of things. But I'm doing an injustice unless I tell you this route as well. So there's 2 ways to build initial credit. Remember our goal. Get trade lines on your business credit report. Then we use the established business credit report to get to the revolving credit. Well, we can jumpstart this process with something that's called a credit line hybrid. And with credit line hybrid, you're able to get up to $150,000 of credit lines with 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. This is no doc. You don't need tax returns. You don't need bank statements. You can get approved as a startup. You can get approved as a nonprofit. It doesn't matter if your revenues are declining or going up or going down. None of those type of things matter. Now, you can take cash out of these actual credit lines. So this is why I call it a credit line hybrid. If you think about a credit card, the benefit of a credit card is that you can get 0% interest rates. But the benefit of an actual credit line is that you can actually take the cash out of that credit line. So this is a hybrid. It's the best of both worlds. If you tried to go take cash out of a credit card, what happens? You pay a 20% interest rate, right? If you try to come in and get 0% on a credit line, you're not able to do so. But this is both. You're able to get 0% for up to 18 months and take cash out of those credit lines. So it's like you get the best of both worlds, which is why I call it a hybrid. You can get approved as a startup, and if you don't have good credit, because for this program, you need a 680 FICO score. Don't get me wrong, don't worry. If you don't have good credit, I'm going to show you the rest of all we're going to go over today is all about, doesn't even care about your credit. But this one path does, but it's a shorter path because you start your business credit report with these $10, $15, $20,000 credit lines, 3, 4, 5 of them right out the gate. So if you don't have a 680 FICO score, which you need to qualify, you can use a credit partner, a friend, a family member, some potential investor, whoever it may be. You don't need collateral. You don't need cash flow to get approved. You're getting multiple credit lines. So then that helps you build multiple trade lines on your business credit report, which I'll show you why is important as we dive in a little bit later. You can get some cards that report on your consumer credit report that you can use if you fill up all your business cards, but you'll also get business cards. So you have a choice. When we put you with the funding source, they ask you, do you only want business reporting cards or do you want max funding? Max funding means you'll have some consumer reporting cards that you could use as last resort, but you also have business cards, so you have an option there. Okay, and the funding source on this charges like 9.99%. We actually charge 12% fee for this program. Okay, but we actually get it for 9.99 because we do so much volume with the funding source. So they roll that fee in. It's just like an SBA loan. SBA charges like 6 points between the bank and SBA, and they roll the fee in. So credit line hybrid is a great way to jumpstart your business credit reports, and it works fantastic if you have good personal credit because you could use good personal credit, sign as a guarantor, get 5 to 8 credit lines. Many of those report to the business credit reports. Now think about it. Now all of a sudden you have 5 to 8 credit lines of $5, $10, $20,000 limits all hit your business credit report. Those initial trade lines establish your credit profile. You pay on those as agreed, and you're off to the races. It even helps you skip the vendor step. But again, you have to have a 680 FICO score to get it. So if this makes sense, this is a great alternative to vendor credit. But we've also then got vendor credit because this relies on good personal credit to get approved. And what we need is an option that doesn't rely on good personal credit. This is where starter vendor credit come in. So these trade lines with vendors are lines with credit issuers who give you initial credit when you have none now. And they are often vendors who can give you basic business supplies such as shipping supplies, outdoor workwear, ink, toner, office furniture. And then they offer terms such as net 30. So let's look at how vendors work. So far I've given you two different paths to build initial business credit. One, credit line hybrid. You use good personal credit if you were a guarantor. You go in and get credit lines. You get 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. And then these things report on your business credit reports. You have tons of cash available through these credit lines. The number one program we're helping people with right now. And then you build your initial business credit. You could skip the vendor step because your first 5 to 8 trade lines are already established. By the way, with credit line hybrid, we helped get our funding source the ability to actually report to the reporting agencies themselves. So just by actually getting credit line hybrid and paying your invoice to them, that alone gives you another credit, another invoice, or another trade line on your account with Experian. So you can easily get 5 to 8 trade lines immediately with credit line hybrid. But if you don't have good credit or don't want to use your credit to get approved or don't want to supply a guarantor, now you want to come in and actually use vendor credit instead. And what vendor credit really is it's trade credit. So it's credit with trade vendors. So for example, these vendors offer products and services that you use. You're probably using them every day now. Okay. So for example, one of our clients bought cases of toilet paper and paper towels, very relative to what's going on with coronavirus. And they used business credit to do it with a vendor. So they sell products and services that you need and are buying now, but you can put these on terms, meaning you don't have to pay your bill for 30 to 60 days. Very good, especially during coronavirus, because you could delay your terms. You could delay the payment for 30 to 60 days. Now, this is called net 30. And what a net 30 would mean is that if I give you a credit limit of $1,000 and you use $500 of that credit limit, you have 30 days on a net 30 account to pay that $500 back. If it was net 55, you'd have 55 days. If it was net 60, you'd have 60 days. You get the idea. So all net X means is this is the number of days you have to actually pay that balance in its entirety. Remember, different than a revolving credit, right? If I put $500 on a credit card with a minimum payment, then I could make a minimum payment of $10, $15 until I pay that off. With vendor credit, with net accounts, you have this much time to pay it back. In this example, net 30 would mean you have 30 days. So if you're approved for $1,000 in vendor credit and use all of it, well, then you got to pay that back in that set term. And in this example, that would be paying that back within 30 days. Now, however, there are some revolving accounts which are still considered to be starter vendors. So you got to be careful because some vendors will give you revolving credit right out the gate. And even when you get the first vendor credit you need, some revolving sources will still offer you net 30 accounts as well. So for example, what I mean by that is that you can get a revolving credit card with Home Depot, or if you apply for Home Depot early in the process when you don't have enough trade lines to get the revolving account, well then they'll give you a net 55, a net 30 account. Same with Amazon, for example. So I don't think I ever really have mentioned that before in training, but this is how that works, is that, for example, with Amazon, there's two ways I can go. I can either get Amazon very early in the business credit building process, and they may give me a term like net 55, which means I have 55 days to pay them, but it's not revolving. Or I may get a bunch of trade lines, then go get Amazon, and then they give you a revolving account, for example. So revolving versus net accounts, you can get both of them depending on when you're actually applying for an account in the actual process. So net 30 accounts must be paid in full within 30 days. Net 60 accounts must be paid within full within 60 days. Unlike with revolving accounts, you have set time when you must pay back what you borrow or use. So to start your business credit profile the right way, you need to get approved for these vendors that actually report to the business credit reporting agencies. Now, let me explain why that is so much of an actual issue. Because 97% of trade vendors don't actually report, okay? So the problem is most people get credit, and then the issue with it is that credit doesn't actually report at all to the reporting agencies. So they think they got credit that reports. The problem is they didn't get credit that reports, and the issue with that is that they actually got credit with vendors that don't report, so they're not building any business credit, okay? So we've got to get credit with vendors that do report, and that's the holy grail. That's the hard thing to find. Now, once you've done this, though, then you could use that credit, pay it back, okay? Then the account's reported to Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. So it's pretty simple. You get an account, you use the account, you pay the bill, and then after you pay the bill, then Equifax, Dun & Bradstreet, and or Experian will then report that account to the reporting agencies. Remember what we talked about in the beginning. That gives you trade lines that are accounts reporting on your business credit reports. That gives you a business credit score, and now you have trade lines that establish your credit profile, that establish your credit score, and then that is what's used as the basis to be able to build business credit. So once reported, then you have trade lines, an established business credit profile, and an established credit score. Now we're using this established credit profile and score to start getting even more credit that's revolving credit under your EIN name. So for vendor credit, you can leave your social security number off the application. Most of these vendors I'm going to show you, they're not even going to ask for your social in almost all cases. Then the credit issuer then pulls your EIN credit, sees a solid profile and score, or none. These starter vendors will approve you if you have none. Then they approve you for more credit. So what I've just shown you is a very interesting and proven strategy to ultimately take your business and let your business fund itself. That's how it happens. We're going to build an initial credit profile and score for your EIN. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use the credit profile and score we create to let your business go get more and more and more credit so the business can fund itself. Now, the nice thing about this is we don't need collateral. We don't need cash flow. Your credit doesn't matter. None of the things that matter to get loans and credit lines tie in here, because what we're doing is letting your business fund itself using the business credit profile and score that we establish that I'm about to show you how to do. So what do we talk about with social security number? Well, you can't leave your social security number off bank loan applications or many other credit applications. They're going to make you include it. If the credit is ultimately issued by a bank, then you've got to supply it. So let me tell you a difference here. The vendors I'm going going to introduce you today, I don't think any of them will even ask you for your social. They're not even going to ask. I think one fleet card will, but the rest, they're not even going to ask you for your social. So the nice thing about that means is it means that you don't even have to worry about providing a guarantee or credit check because they're not even asking you for the social to begin with. But as you get to revolving credit cards, the Home Depot, the Lowe's, the Sam's Club, the Visa card, the MasterCard, when you get to that, they are going to now, per a law in 2018 that was passed, ask you for your social security number. And the reason for that is that the government has mandated that banks like Citi, who underwrite Office Depot and Staples credit cards, that they get your social for identity purposes. So in this case, vendors won't ask, but when you start to get to revolving credit, they're going to ask for the social, okay? And they do this to prevent fraud. Now, vendors don't do this because it's not issued by a bank, so you can leave the social off. Now, when you get to revolving credit, you never want to authorize a personal guarantee or credit check. So some sources like fleet cards clearly tell you in the process, like they say, hey, we need your social. Hey, disclaimer, we're only getting it to validate your identity as required by federal law. We are not using this for a credit check or guarantee. They tell you right away and you're cool and you can enter it and move on. Others, you got to be more careful. You never want to provide the social for revolving credit. I know, we're getting ahead. I'm going to teach you about vendors, but I want to give you the next step too. When you get to revolving credit, you just want to make sure that even if you need to call in and apply or fax an application and apply, that you clearly do not give them your social with the ability to pull your credit and guarantee. Meaning, if they don't stipulate in the application process that it's only being used for identity purposes, you want to stipulate to them you are not authorizing that they can use it for any other purpose than to verify your identity. You're not authorizing a guarantee and credit check. When you do this, you force them to pull your business credit and make the decision based on that. So a lot of benefits here of vendor credit. Vendor credit's an important step because it's easier to get than the store fleet. This is way easier. It's the easiest kind of credit you can get. You don't need personal guarantees. You don't need credit checks. Your revenue doesn't matter. Your cash flow doesn't matter. Your collateral. It's just very easy credit to get. And then it leads to the revolving credit we really want. So you're establishing credit as well that will then be seen by lenders. It's seen by suppliers. It makes you more lendable. It makes it easier to get loans and credit lines as well. And this is really how most companies build business credit. This is the proven path, is using these vendor accounts. So you need to have credit to get more credit, right? Well, building starter vendor trade lines leads to the big payoff because you're getting initial credit with vendors. That's the hardest part. Then these trade vendors who issue credit, a lot of cases don't report it to the business credit reporting agencies. That's the issue typically. So we've got to find sources who do actually report, and that's what we're really diving into today. So let's talk about 7 of these companies that do actually report with the business credit reporting agencies. Here's a quick overview of them, and we'll talk about more as well, but here's a quick overview of just 7, and we'll talk about more than 7 that actually give you credit for your EIN not linked to your social and that report the initial credit, and then let's dive in and decode each one of these. So let's talk about Uline. Uline, they sell shipping supplies, industrial supplies. Like they sell all kinds of stuff that any one of us could use. They report to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. Let me explain to you why this is so important. Remember I told you what a trade line is. It's a reporting of an account to the reporting agencies. Well, now I'm going to teach you what a payment experience is. A payment experience is the reporting of credit to a reporting agency. So the goal here is we need 5 payment experiences to move to the next step, which is revolving store credit, or what I call the retail credit tier. So in the vendor credit tier, we want to get 5 payment experiences so we could move to revolving credit in the retail credit tier, which means the next step of this process is we start getting Home Depot and Lowe's and Office Depot and Sam's Club and Costco and credit with all the retailers, right? So when we have one account that reports to 2 reporting agencies, like Uline reports to D&B and Experian, it counts as 2 payment experiences. So if I need 5 payment experiences to get to revolving credit, then this is a gold mine when I get Uline because I got 2 payment experiences with 1 account. So we take 3 years of business credit building and condense it down into only 6 months for our clients. Our clients get to the end of this process in 6 months. Many others, even with our free training, take 3 years to try to get there. How do we do that? We do it because what we do is in our system, we're actually showing where every single account reports. So this way, what our clients are able to do is our clients are able to only find accounts that report to 2 or 3 reporting agencies and get more payment experiences even faster. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the system our clients actually use to build business credit. And you can see how important it is that we tell them with every source that this account reports to 3, this reports to 2. And the reason this matters is because if you had to choose between Crown Office Supplies and Office Depot, you would want to go to Crown because Crown gives you 3 payment experiences in one shot. So this helps you get fewer accounts, get more payment experiences, and helps you get 5 payment experiences faster so you're able to move to the next step. So a lot of people ask me this question: how long does it take to get to the final step of building business credit? And I always say the same thing. It depends on how many accounts you apply for and then how many sources or how many reporting agencies those accounts report to. So what happens here is if you go and get an account with Crown, well then you got 3 payment experiences right out the gate. But if you went and applied for credit with Advanced Auto Parts, you'd only have 1 payment experience with D&B. So the issue there is that you could build credit a lot faster using Crown than you could Advance because one of them gives you 3 payment experiences and one only would give you 1 payment experience. So that's why these payment experiences are so important. And Uline's important because they report to D&B and Experian. Now you got to have a DUNS number with them and an EIN before starting with them. And I skipped all that stuff today. There's all kinds of training I have on our website about fundability. And if you go to youtube.com/credit suite on our page, then you'll see all kinds of training we have on fundability. And that fundability will teach you how to get your DUNS number and how to get your EIN number and how to set up your business where you're fundable. I'm not going to go through all that today. Okay, that's a whole other hour that we could go into. But you've got to have your DUNS number, and our other training shows you how to do that. You need to place an order of $50 or more before they'll report it. And your first few orders might need to be prepaid, so initially your company can get approved for net 30 terms. So let's talk about these last 2. Again, this is why our clients build business credit so quickly. Because if you didn't know this, I can't tell you how many people go spend $30 at Uline, and then they wait a month for the account to report, and it doesn't report. And so then they call Uline or they wait another month only to figure out they needed to spend $50. Now they go and spend $50 with Uline and they just wasted a month and a half of time they could have had because the problem is that they actually didn't spend enough to get the account reported. Meaning some sources like Uline have a minimum amount you can spend before they'll actually report to the reporting agencies. In this case, it's $50. So you know you need to spend $50 to get the trade line with them. Now, you also may need to place a few orders first. And here's how I explain that. If you've gone through my training on fundability and you've done the right thing, set up your website, your email, your entity, your address, your phone, all that stuff, if you set all that stuff up the right way, then you can probably get approved for Uline right away. But if you didn't do that, then what happens is they may make you place 2 to 3 orders before you can actually come in and be able to get approved. So again, with Uline, they may make you may put stuff in your cart, because this is the process with vendors. I go to Uline, I put stuff in my cart, right? And then I go to checkout. They give me an option of invoice me. I choose invoice me. Now they're either going to email me and tell me my item shipped, which means I was just given a credit line. They don't celebrate it. They don't send me a credit card in the mail. They just ship my item. That proves that they gave me my credit line. Or they tell me that they're not willing to approve me yet. If that happens, I place my order. I say, okay, that's fine. I'll pay for it. Here's my credit card. I still want to order the $50 worth of stuff. Then I go place another account with Uline and again apply to be invoiced. And hopefully they ship my items. Or they say, sorry, your fundability. They're not going to tell me my fundability is jacked up. They're going to say, sorry, can't approve you yet. And then in that case, then I still order that stuff. And then by the third order, they are then going to then ship that item. They're going to approve me by my third order, meaning that if I don't have my fundability lined up, they might not feel comfortable on the first two orders to give me the credit line, but by the third, they actually will give me the credit line. So two caveats there that you need to know to get approved with Uline. Now, to qualify, you need to have an entity in good standing with the Secretary of State, an EIN. You need to have a business address that matches everywhere online. I call this congruency. It's got to be very match everywhere, your Yellow Pages, your Facebook, your website, etc. You got to have your DUNS number. You got to have any business license if you need it. You have to have a business bank account because they're going to ask you for a bank reference. Okay, and then if you do this, then you can get approved for the Net 30 account. Now, upon final review, the credit department may change to a few prepaid orders. Remember, they may say, we need you to place an order or two first, especially if your fundability is jacked up. But if you didn't jack up your fundability, if you followed my training on that, then you should get the Net 30 account right away. So that's the exact stuff to get approved with actually Uline. Okay, that's the key to getting approved with Uline. Now, keep in mind, and again, not trying to self-promote, but I want you guys to understand the difference, because a lot of people, I help a lot of people build business credit, and some people don't understand what we do as a company. An example of this is what we do as a company is this. Every single account that our clients apply for, this is what they get, what I'm showing you now. Every single account, every revolving credit card, every vendor that's out there, we tell them, here's how to apply. Here's the quick link to apply. Here's exactly what it takes to get it qualified. Here's the terms you're going to get. Here's the special description that you need to know. Every single one of those, we give them that advice. So it just helps expedite the actual approval. And you can imagine having just a database of every single revolving and vendor account. And these aren't vendors. These are all revolving. But you can imagine having access to every one. We're telling you if you qualify or if you don't. We're telling you where they report, how many payment experiences, what it takes to get approved. You know how much time this saves? This is why it'll take you 2.5, 3 years on your own, and why we condense it to 6 months, because it just makes it easy when you have all of this information to know how to get approved. So how to apply, exactly as I already outlined. You go to uline.com, you put stuff in your shopping cart, you go to checkout, you select open an account, you set up an account with them, and then you choose to be invoiced, and then if they mail the items, you know you were approved. Now my second one, and I always start with Uline and Quill because these are my two personal faves. Now Quill actually sells office supplies, packaging supplies, cleaning supplies, and they report to Dun & Bradstreet. Now, if not given a Net 30, they will ask you to do prepaid orders of $100. So remember, what will happen here is that the goal is that you listen to my advice and you built your fundability. If you built your fundability and your website and your email and your phone number, all that stuff's set up, you could probably bypass the prepaid order. But if you didn't listen to my advice and you, like so many people, just jump in and start applying because you want to skip the stuff that takes a little bit of work in the beginning with fundability, then they might actually come in and say they want prepaid orders, and with them they now need you to spend $100. Okay, so again, this is one of the benefits you get with working with experts. They changed from $150 to $100, and they don't tell anybody. Our system, we work with our underwriters, so we updated our clients right away. But you could spend $50 with Quill and wait a month and not know why they didn't report, only to find out you need to spend $100. So if they don't approve you with that Net 30, they're going to make you prepay orders of $100, two of them, before they may actually approve you for that credit. Now, once that's the case, then if you spend $50 with them, then they'll report that account to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. Let me say that again, because this is new with Quill. This is fairly new in 2020. They did not do this before. If they won't approve you for initial credit because your fundability is jacked up, then what's going to happen is they're going to make you prepay two orders of $100 a piece. Again, it's costly not to build your fundability, which is why I teach about that. Okay, so what's going to happen is they're going to come in and they're going to make you prepay two orders. Then beyond that, you're going to need to spend $50 with them to get them to actually report that account to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. So hopefully that makes sense. For some reason, I think my questions are off in the live chat because I have no comments in live chat, and usually you guys are following along with me, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But anyways, hopefully this all makes sense. So to qualify, you're going to need an entity in good standing, an EIN with the IRS, an address for your business that matches everywhere else, business license if applicable, DUNS number, bank account. They're going to ask for you a bank account reference, okay? And you may need to prepay for those orders if you don't have any history on your business credit reports or if your fundability is jacked up. Grainger Industrial Supply. They sell hardware, power tools, pumps, and more. They do fleet maintenance. They report to D&B. You got to place orders of $50 or more to get reported, and they give you terms of net 30. You can get to them at Grainger.com. Now, to qualify, you're going to need many of the same things: business bank reference, a license if applicable, DUNS number, business address, EIN number, anything in good standing. Let me explain why a license is important. Grainger is a perfect example. If you can get a license for your business, get one. Because if you can get one, like in Florida, we have what's called occupational licenses. And I can get an occupational license voluntarily in my county. I don't have to have it, but I can get it. If I have that license and I went and said, I want this license in the county to show I'm a legit business, they give it to me. I could supply that to Grainger, and just because I supply my license to Grainger, they automatically approve me for a $2,500 credit line. So licenses are very important in the vendor credit world. If you have a license, it goes a long way to help you get approved, and it also goes a long way to help you get approved for the most amount of money. And that's becoming more and more common as we're seeing in 2020. So if a business doesn't have an established business credit, they may require additional documents like accounts payable, income statement, balance sheet. They may ask you for income docs if you don't have any established business credit or business license. But remember, by default, the business license alone will get you approved with Grainger for a $2,500 account. Wex Fleet, they report to all three. Remember, this is good, right? 3 payment experiences with Wex Fleet. They offer a universal fleet card, heavy truck cards, and universally accepted business fleet cards. Let's talk about what a fleet card is. A fleet card, or what I call the fleet credit tier, is credit cards that are typically used to fuel and maintain a fleet of vehicles. So if you are a trucking or transportation operation, well then these are used for gas, they're used for fuel, they're used for auto repairs, they're used for maintenance of vehicles, etc. If you're just using your personal card, you can use them for that as well. So they offer universal fleet cards as well as other cards for other types of vehicles. Their cards have features supporting a small business. It includes a rewards program. Before applying for multiple accounts with Wex Fleet cards, make sure to have enough time in between applying, okay? So what's going to happen here is that you can't go apply for a bunch of fleet cards. Almost all these guys are underwritten by the same source. So we see a lot of people that try to get a bunch of fleet cards and they get denied because they have open applications with a bunch of sources. So you really don't want to apply for a bunch of these cards at once. You only want to get one fleet card, one Wex Fleet card, and then by doing so, you have a time lapse and even get your approval or denial before you apply anywhere else. Otherwise, they flag your account as fraud, and then all heck breaks loose. You don't want that. So I'm trying to help you avoid fraud with Wex, which is a big deal because their underwriter underwrites a lot of fleet cards. Bottom line, if you apply for a fleet card, apply for one and let the approval decision come in. Don't apply for a bunch or it's deemed as potential fraud. Now you can visit them at wexinc.com/solutions/fleet-management. Now to qualify, you're going to need an entity in good standing with the Secretary of State. You're going to need EIN number. You're going to need a business address that matches everywhere, DUNS number, business license, business bank account. Your business phone number must be listed with 411. This is interesting. I want to tell you guys, if you notice something, I talk a lot about fundability, and I tell you all that your phone number needs to be listed with 411. You need to do all these things to make sure your business is fundable. Notice I have not said yet that the other sources need your phone number to be listed with 411. That's the way fundability works. You may skip my advice on fundability and get approved, and then get cocky and be like, hey man, Ty said I need to have my phone number listed with 411. I just got approved with no problem without my phone number being listed with 411. The reason I tell you this is because some sources require it, some sources don't. So for example, you can use a home address and get an Amazon card. You cannot use a home address and get a Walmart card. Walmart won't approve you at the home address, just the way it is. Wex Fleet, you can't get them unless your phone number is listed with 411, but you can get Quill. So that's why I tell you about fundability. By getting your fundability in line, then you're going to meet the requirements of all these sources. But if you don't get your fundability in line and you skip a fundability requirement here or there, then what happens is you're not going to get approved with some sources and you still may get approved with other sources. With Wex, you need to have that phone number listed with 411. And again, if not approved based on business credit history or being in business for 1 year or more, then a $500 deposit is needed or a personal guarantee. these are some new options here that I'm talking in 2020 that I usually don't when it comes to business credit building. You have some options here. One, you could build a little bit of business credit history, get 1, 2, 3 accounts on your business credit reports, and come in and use Wex as your 4th or 5th payment experience. Use them near the end once you have some established business credit. And once you do that, well, then you can get around having any kind of deposit and you're off to the races. You use them as a vendor with no deposit, no personal guarantee, you're set. But if you started with Wex Fleet as your first vendor and you have no business credit history and you're new in business, you've been in business less than 1 year, then they may hit you up with a $500 deposit. Then they may hit you up with a personal guarantee. So I just gave you, 3, 4, 5 different ways to get approved with Wex. You go to Wex right away as a startup. They say, okay, you have no credit history, you haven't been in business a year, give us $500 in a guarantee. And you give them $500, you give them the guarantee, and you're off to the races. You may wait till you're in business 1 year and then go to Wex and get approved with no business credit history without the $500 deposit. You may go build Uline Quill first, then go apply with Wex, then get around the 1 year requirement and around the $500 deposit because you have some established business credit. So there's a lot of options here, but as you're seeing, the more trade lines you have, the more options you actually have. Oh, I do have Carolyn is actually coming in here. So Carolyn, you're coming in and talking about a business name. I will address that in the end. Okay, so I appreciate your question, and I will come in and address that question at the end. So again, you have options here. You could go to them right away and supply a $500 deposit and personal guarantee. You could build some trade lines first and then go to them and get around the deposit and the guarantee. You could come in and be in business 1 year and get around the deposit and the guarantee. So I've given you multiple options, some including a guarantee, some include ways to get around the guarantee. Now, Strategic Network Solutions, they offer technology training and tech support. They report to Experian and Credit Safe. Now, Credit Safe I don't talk about a lot, but they're becoming more and more popular in the United States, very popular in the UK. I eventually think they will get bought out by Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian, but they are a player. You should know about them. So they report to Credit Safe. Now, they'll start you with a credit limit of $1,000 for new businesses, and it will rise by $500 increments if balances are paid in full and on time. Guys, it's super simple. Can you imagine that? Let's say you have a 500 credit score. You and I both know your limits are $500 max on your credit cards. You start here at $1,000 credit limit. And if you pay them as agreed, they increase it by $500 a shot. And the reality is they sell a lot of stuff that a lot of us need that use computers. And here's their approval of their website, stntsol.com. So that's short for Strategic Network Solutions. I don't know what that's short for. STNTSOL. Okay, so that's actually how that what their website is. Now, to qualify, you need a good entity in good standing. You need an EIN. You need a business address that matches everywhere, a DUNS number, a business license, and you're going to need a business bank account as well. So pretty much a starter vendor to get approved with them. SupplyWorks, they're part of Home Depot, and they provide facility maintenance solutions. They report to Experian with net 30 accounts. You can apply online or over the phone, and you could visit them at supplyworks.com. Okay, they qualify. You're going to need an entity in good standing, business license, bank account, business address, and DUNS number. Basic requirements. You see, these are my 5 or 6 basic requirements. Now, also keep in mind, when I talk about fundability, I tell you to get your DUNS number. Some sources you've seen don't require it. Some sources you've seen do require it. So you can see here that the difference between fundability. Some sources require some of the stuff I say, like 411 and DUNS. Some require none of that. So some sources you can get approved with if you skip fundability. Some you can't, which is why I tell you fundability is so important. Now, Behalf.com, they're an option once you're in business for at least a year. They report to D&B, Experian, and Equifax. Unlike some other starter vendors, they often give you revolving terms. So here's what happens with Behalf, so you understand what Behalf is. Behalf lets you accept payments from your customers, and then they basically finance those payments. Ultimately, it's how it works. So I can let my customers pay me over 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Behalf will then finance that for me, and then they actually will help me get a trade line with D&B, Experian, and Equifax, and I can get up to $50,000 in purchasing power to do that. Now, they do put a soft inquiry on your personal credit report. You should know that happens with Behalf. And to qualify, you're going to need the basics we've talked about: bank license, a business license, bank account, DUNS, address, EIN, entity with good standing. They're going to do a soft pull, so they're going to ask for your social. They're going to want you to have a year in business. They're going to want to see that your positive cash flow that you have in your that you're generating more income than more money is coming in than going out. They're going to ask for the bank references, and they're going to ask for trade references, other people that you can give them as an actual source. Now, I've always used Wells Fargo as well. But Wells Fargo actually is no longer a good source. They stopped reporting to the Business Credit Reporting Agency. It's okay. Sometimes they stop and they start and they stop and they start. In their case, they've stopped. Okay, and I've given you 7 here, but I'll give you one more beyond that is Summa Office Supplies. Summa Office Supplies, S-U-M-M-A, I think it's S-U-M-M-A or 1M. But they're another great source that's a good starter vendor you could try with as well. So I've given you, you need 5 payment experiences, and I've given you 8 today. And if you add up all the payment experiences I've given you, but half is 3. SupplyWorks reports to Experian, that's 4. Strategic Network Solutions reports to Experian, that's 5. Wex Fleet reports to Experian, Equifax, and DME, that's 6, 7, 8. Grainger reports to DMB, that's 9. Quill reports to DMB, that's 10. Okay, and Uline reports to DMB and Experian. So remember, you need 5 payment experiences, and today I gave you 12. And if you add Summa into it, it's like 14. So I gave you 14 payment experiences that you can use today, and you only actually need 5 to move on to revolving credit. So let's recap this. So to recap, okay, uncertain, a lot of things happening right now in the world, right? But revolving credit is what people need. I've said this for a long time. If you have business credit bill, you have revolving credit cards and credit lines that can help you through even the most treacherous of times as we're seeing now. Business credit's independent of the economy. So many lenders are pulling back right now. Credit issuers are still issuing credit. Our clients are still getting very high limit business credit accounts, even though they're having a lot of hard time getting money right now, as a lot of people are. Now, business credit building is a smart decision because it helps you get more money from lenders. It's easier to get started with vendors, but I gave you that alternative path of credit line hybrid. And we have 7 vendors. I've given you like 14 payment experiences you can use today, and usually these are net terms. So you can build business credit and as a result get good business credit profile and score to then start getting all that more credit. Remember, what I talked to you about was helping your business fund itself. And of course, if you're working with us, our business finance suite has a lot more starter vendors. Our vendors include, you can get SEO services, you can get website setup services, you can do marketing. They actually have marketing. One of our vendors actually issues credit lines, and then they report the payment of your payment to them of credit lines to the reporting agencies, as well as phone numbers, as well as t-shirts and many other things. So there's so many vendors we have because we work with sources to help them get the ability to report. So my friend Yushika Gray messaged me today and said, Ty, I have a great coaching process that I offer to customers, and I also have all these do-it-yourself courses that help business owners fix their consumer credit. How do I report to the business credit reporting agencies? I'm now working with Yushika to get the ability to report. Then once she gets the ability to report, we put it in our system. So we found that vendors are so scarce, we gave up and we started creating our own. We started going to everybody and getting everybody the ability to report. Then we add them to our system. So our clients have access to tremendous amounts of vendors because these people, most people don't even know about, because we help them get the ability to report. So a lot of benefit that we can provide you there. So also keep in mind that with us, and our phone number is on the bottom of these actual slides, with us, if you're calling us or scheduling a consultation, what we do is this. We do a fundability check to see how fundable your business is. We look at the Secretary of State. We look at the stuff these credit issuers look at to make sure your fundability is not jacked up. Then we do a free search with Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet to see if the reporting agencies know you exist now, to see if you have trade lines and you don't know you do, or if they even know and have created a credit profile for you. We help you get your business credit reports for free with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, so you could see what's on your business credit reports. We tell you all the funding you can get now. All of this is 100% free, just what happens on the first phone call with us. And then we give you tips and tactics to build your business credit. And of course, we're going to talk to you about what it's like to build business credit with us, so you can choose to use our free information and go through the longer course, or actually work with us, save money, and get it done quicker. But either way, you win because all of that stuff happens on the first phone call. Also keep in mind, when it comes to financing, we never charge you any fees. So if we help you get loans, if we help you get credit lines, the funding source sources will charge you fees, and then we get you a discount on that money, and we never actually charge you any money. So if we can help you with loans and credit lines, even SBA loans, any of that, then give us a ring. Go to creditsuite.com/get funding, and with this, we can help you qualify for financing, and we work with you side by side without it costing you any money to do so. So here's our information. I want to answer a few questions because I know you all had some. Okay, Carolyn says, hey Ty, not to get off subject, but what about using the word resolution group in your business name? That's great. I love it. Carolyn, I love that. Resolution group does not put you in a high-risk category. That makes a lot of sense. Spirit of Hag says, thank you for all this. You're helping a lot of people to save money, years of struggle. Thank you. That is my goal. Guys, I can tell you why I'm here. I'm here because I owned a mortgage company. The mortgage industry collapsed, and all of a sudden, I made all the mistakes that a lot of you have made. I personally guaranteed things for my business. I thought I was invincible, and I thought I had a good business. I didn't expect the economy to come out of nowhere and shut down my industry like a lot of people are struggling with. Here's my personal story of what happened. Since I personally guaranteed my business debts, they started to report on my personal credit report. All my revolving personal credit sources lowered my limits to what I owed. So now all the credit I had that was supposed to get me through the disaster went away because my business late payments affected my personal credit because my business debts reported on my personal credit report. To add insult to injury, Bank of America came in because I owed them money on a business credit line. They wiped out my personal bank account, wiped it out. I'll never forget it. I had like $2,000 worth of checks written against the money that was in there. They cleaned out my bank account. All those checks bounced, and it was an absolute disaster. So they ruined my credit, and they removed all my available credit. Then they removed all the cash from my accounts, and then I basically went bankrupt. That's what happened because every finance source that I had was ruined because I guaranteed things in my business name. I just gave you a proven path to not have that happen to you. If I would have known this, and this is why I teach this now, so you please, I beg of you, do not make the same mistakes I made. If you follow the process I've outlined for you, you could build a credit profile for your business. Now, if I would have done that for my mortgage company, here's what would have happened. I would have not had to personally guarantee the debt. If I defaulted on that debt, they couldn't have taken the cash out of my personal bank accounts. And if I would have got the credit reporting on my business credit reports like it should have instead of my personal, I could have went late. It wouldn't have showed to my personal credit issuers, and my personal credit never would have been lowered, and I would have navigated the mortgage crisis no problem instead of actually going to bankruptcy. And I didn't file bankruptcy, but I almost got there. I paid the attorney and ended up pulling out at the very end. That's what I'm trying to save you from doing. So by building business credit, you separate your personal and business liability, and in doing so, you make it where they can't come after your personal assets. The credit doesn't report on your personal credit reports. Even if you default, it doesn't report on your personal credit reports. So it separates this, it creates a separation where even if your business is failing or you go late on payments or you default on business debt, because let's be honest, the coronavirus, these things happen. You see how unexpected things can happen. Then what happens is your personal credit's still intact. None of that affects that. It doesn't affect your personal assets, and you can still recover okay. So that's what I'm trying to help you do. If that makes sense, then hopefully you got a lot of value out of this training. Feel free, and if you did, do me a favor. Give me a like on the video. That's all I ask of all of this. I give my heart to you, and all I ask is just do me a favor. Give me a like on the video. If you like this training, subscribe, and you'll be notified when we go live again. That helps me because it tells YouTube that, hey, this information is important and other entrepreneurs should see it. And the more likes and comments and engagement that I get, then the more YouTube shows to other people and the more people you and I can help together. So our number, if we can help you, is 877-600-2487. We go live on YouTube 1 o'clock on Tuesday and 11 o'clock on Wednesday every week. We also go live on Facebook at 2 o'clock p.m. with me, talking to me face-to-face with chalkboards. We do that Tuesday at 2 o'clock p.m. and we also do it Thursday at 11:30 a.m. and that's all Eastern time. And we have daily tips on Instagram, Twitter. We have a podcast that has over 300,000 downloads. To give you an idea of how popular it is to listen on the go, you can access all of those links at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. Awesome content always. Cartub, I appreciate that. Spirit of Hag says, can we listen to this again? You can. You listen to this on YouTube Live. If you copy the link of the video you're listening to right now, you can revisit this at any time. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If we can help you along the way, give us a ring, 877-600-2487. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.